Spartacus wore the damned. After vengeance, everything is better. The Romans, the villains, Spartacus and the slave army, the relationships is just everything's just better in this season when then compared to Vengeance. And I gotta say, Liam McIntyre really came into his role. I mean, he really got into this character. I really enjoyed his version of Spartacus, and I absolutely adore his character in this one. And what's happening? It's war. Spartacus is on a war path against Rome, killing any Romans in his wake with his fellow gladiators by his side. But when he takes like a city in order for his people not to starve, because this is the thing, Spartacus takes over a city of Rome, and he needs the city so he could shelter all his slaves, and not his slaves, but his people who are former slaves into the city. But in doing so, when he takes the city, they slaughter everybody, and it completely changes Spartacus. And what also changes is Spartacus and Crixus' relationship. They change. Crixus wants blood of every single Roman. He doesn't care if it's man, woman, or child. Spartacus does not like this. He hates the fact of what him and his people are coming into. They are becoming like Romans. They are slaughtering everybody. Spartacus has a moment where before he infiltrates the city, he's scouting it out, and he sees kids around. He sees this little kid, and he says, "Stick close to your mother." And at the end of the episode, the little kid is dead next to her mother. Spartacus doesn't want his people to come into Romans, and Crixus doesn't care anymore. Him and Navia have completely split from Spartacus. They have different goals, they have different wants, and different needs. And Spartacus, his desire for vengeance is not the same as Navia. Navia becomes blood drunk and bloodlust. She sees every Roman as evil. She doesn't care. And Crixus, I don't want to say Navia manipulates him, but Navia just like she expresses herself to him, and since she was raped and all that stuff, Chris is gonna abide by her every word, and he does not give a shit. So the rift between brothers happens, and it's very interesting. And again, Navia goes berserk. I mean, she kills one of Gannicus' friend, who is a Roman. I mean, literally, she just attacks him because she just believed that he was the person who was betraying them, which was not true. And because of this, Navia kind of again, she's not manipulating Crixus and all that stuff. She's just encouraging his wrath. She's just encouraging him to do more bad shit to Romans, to do more shit to anybody who stands in the way. And even though I love the relationship and I do respect Navia as a character, I kind of disliked her for this stuff. But again, the whole thing with Spartacus and his entire like group of gladiators, and I love just the rift between them, and I just love when characters stop for a second and say, "Shit, man, this is very effed up what we're doing. Maybe we should just stop this, or at least think about what we're doing." I love when characters question themselves and into their actions of whether or not they did a good or right thing, and I loved it. The whole rift between Spartacus and Crixus, I loved it. Now let's talk about new characters. During this time, we get Marcus Crassus, a senator of Rome, who is rich, patient, respected among his peers, and a true equal to Spartacus in the mind. He trains with a fellow freaking gladiator to know how Spartacus and his former gladiator friends fight. He wants to know everything. He is smart. He is to be manipulative. He is, as he quietly puts, me and Spartacus both see each other as the villains of each other's story, and we all both believe we are the hero. And I love this character. Marcus Crassus was a great villain to Spartacus, a lot better than Glaber. I mean, I really enjoyed Marcus Crassus. Marcus Crassus is just so interesting. He has this love relationship with a slave of his named Cora. He loves her more than his own Roman wife. I mean, he respects a great deal of Rome. He respects Spartacus. He is a man who believes the right and the wrongs of life. I mean, I just enjoy his relationship with his son Tiberius, Julius Caesar. I enjoy a shitload of this character. This character was a perfect antagonist and the perfect final villain or antagonist to Spartacus and his cause. So, Marcus Crassus, great new character. And now, we must talk about Tiberius, the son of Marcus Crassus. Now, here's the thing. He starts off as a very sympathetic character. First, he wants to prove to his father that he's not that young boy anymore. He's a man. He wants respect from his soldiers. He wants respect from everybody around him, and he's going to do whatever he can to do that. And during an incident, he tries to take on Spartacus foolishly with his own group of soldiers. And the thing is, even though he fights bravely and with his best friend beside him, they ultimately have to retreat. And something snaps within Tiberius. I mean, Tiberius just does not give a fuck anymore. I mean, if he didn't give a shit beforehand, he didn't give a shit afterwards. I mean, right after he lost to Spartacus, his father had to punish him because even though Tiberius told his soldiers to stand and fight, they left him. And so Tiberius, because of this, they have to go through this sort of like trial and torture thing. Like if you choose a white pebble, you survive. If you choose a black pebble, you are put to death. And even the ones who stood by Tiberius, who stood and fought and didn't retreat until the last second, they had to be put to death too. And Tiberius loses his best friend, who's the one who stood by him, and he gets this inner rage against his father. So much so that he rapes freaking Corey. Which is again Marcus Crassus' lover and a person he loves more than anything. Becomes so obsessed he does not care if he's ruining his father's relationship with Corey. He does not give a shit. Tiberius is like his father, but except more ruthless and a little bit more evil. He's exactly like his father in many cases. In some cases, he's not. I mean, I really enjoy Tiberius' character, and we also have to talk about his relationship, or how should I say, hatred towards Julius Caesar. Yes, we get Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar hates Marcus Crassus' sons Tiberius because they both believe that they should be second in command over Marcus Crassus, and it just becomes a rivalry which gets so messed up, gets so bloody, and it's just so freaking amazing and interesting. I mean, Marcus Crassus and Julius Caesar are a great pair together. Julius Caesar aligns with Marcus Crassus because he's broke and he needs some backing, and Marcus Crassus needs him because he needs Julius Caesar's status because Julius Caesar has a lineage with the original Roman founders. So they join forces together to take on Spartacus, and Julius Caesar does everything. I mean, he is a true wolf and warrior. He infiltrates Spartacus' city, manipulates the former slaves around him, like butchering Romans, how we must do everything we can. He makes a rift between Crixus and Spartacus a lot more. I mean, ultimately, he's the reason why the city falls, and Spartacus and his numbers have to retreat because he lets the Romans in. And overall, I greatly enjoy his character. He was a great badass. Julius Caesar was just a freaking amazing character. I loved him. I loved everything about this character for the most part, and I greatly enjoyed what they did with him. So yeah, Julius Caesar was an A+ character in my opinion. Let's talk about one final new character, and that is Leto, a Roman woman who Spartacus spares during the entire massacre of the city. And because of her, Spartacus starts to question himself more and more whether or not he's doing not technically the right thing, but the massacre of all these innocent people. She makes him question himself, and I like that. I like her character, how she was a Roman, how she was terrorized by the slaves, how she didn't really think who her husband was, who was a slave master, and she really just could not believe a lot of stuff that was happening around her. I love her character progression from being harassed by being targeted by the slaves, being harassed. I mean, she's gone through a shitload of pain, and then afterwards she's sold by fellow Romans to a guy who they made an agreement with Spartacus. I mean, an agreement with Marcus Crassus, so they sell her off like a slave, and they even brand her like a slave. And ultimately, she joins Spartacus' resistance, but she's not as a fighter. She's with Spartacus in this sense, and she truly respects him. And I guess this is quite honestly the last love interest, and I understand it. It made sense why they would become love interests at the end, but overall, I enjoyed her character more at the beginning than I did at the end. I didn't like her to be reduced to just a love interest, but overall, Leto was a good and interesting character. Now let's talk about certain things I did not like this season. The lazy writing for the whole relationship drama. We have Agron and Nasir have relationship drama because Nasir is technically attracted to this black slave. Yes, that's a entire role for Agron and Nasir in the season. That's what they have to add for them. You also get a relationship with Gannicus and his relationship with this former slave girl. I enjoyed them together. It's just this is what they had to do for it in order to get more screen time for them. I mean, I like the whole thing that Gannicus didn't want to be part of like a leadership with the army, but at the end, he ultimately accepts Spartacus's leadership, or like accept the leadership role into Spartacus stuff. And there's one other thing we have to complain about is Julius Caesar's fucking rape of or Tiberius raping Julius Caesar. We did not need that. Other than that, this season was overall good. Just certain things about the relationship was not needed. Relationship drama was not needed, especially the rape of Julius Caesar. Jesus Christ. And now we come to the end of Spartacus, the entire show. This is the end. Spartacus, Crixus, Naevia, Asher, Gannicus for a final battle. And I absolutely enjoyed the final battle. It was very good, and we all know in history what really happened. What really happened at the end. And Spartacus the show really portrayed that for the most part very, very well. And I like how when Spartacus is dying at the end, spoiler alert, how he says, "That's not my name." And then when people are saying Spartacus, he's like, "Finally I was able to hear what my real name is upon my wife's breath." And I absolutely enjoyed the end of Spartacus. And what ultimately Spartacus stood for was the end of slavery, for people to be free. And even though historians argue whether or not Spartacus did this or not, but I greatly enjoyed this TV show. I enjoyed a hell of a lot of what Liam McIntyre did and all the actors that were in this show. And I love the entire tribute for all the characters at the end and the credit scenes. And I love the whole end for Andy Whitefield when he says, "I am Spartacus." Rest in peace, Andy Whitefield. And this season, 9.4 out of 10. This was an A season. I like Blood and Sands a lot more than War of the Damned, but War of the Damned was just a great season, a great freaking season to end off. Spartacus War of the Damned, I enjoy the shit out of. So yeah, Spartacus War of the Damned. Let me know what y'all think, everyone. Subscribe if you like. Disagree down below. Comment down below. Let me know. Respect your opinion. Respect yours. What did y'all think about Spartacus War of the Damned? My name's Julius. I'm Garfield. Everybody. Bye bye.